That's live. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our December 2018 quarterly meeting. And today we're going to give you some updates as an organization, and then we're going to go through each of the divisions and give you some updates there. So I'm going to start us off from Executive Services. First, we do have standing room only here in the Fred Rogers Room, the newly renovated, formerly known as the Auditorium. And if you haven't had a chance to come back and take a look at this outstanding space, please make sure that you do. And you'll notice that we're going to be increasingly using this room and as well as outside groups coming in to use it. I know Tim's going to talk about a major event that's occurring tomorrow with Step Up Westmoreland, and I won't steal his thunder, and he'll talk about that a little later. So thanks again for joining us. If you do have any questions that you want to share, make sure that you email me at jconway@wiu7.org. Since we've moved to YouTube, we don't have that chat function that we had with Zoom. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to send them via email to me, and I'll be checking them throughout the session. Wanted to share a celebration. Thank you so much to everyone who contributed towards either a basket or attending the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit Foundation's Almost Sinatra Night, which was held at Rizzo's. And thanks to John Noble and his band, the foundation raised over $1,500, and that $1,500 I'm sure is going to be used to support the efforts of services that support students that receive services from the IU. And so thank you to everyone. In terms of value of all of the things that were donated, it was well into the thousands of things that were donated, and many, all of the divisions created baskets that were raffled off. Clairview folks created baskets as well as a lottery t-shirt. It was a great evening, and thank you so much for your support and attending and donating to that. Along the lines with goals and celebrations, after this meeting, probably tomorrow sometime, I'll resend out the email addresses to send us things that help us reach our 3 goals, as well as general celebrations that we need to be aware of. And so don't forget, we can't celebrate it unless we know. So make sure that you utilize those email addresses to send us that stuff, so we can then contribute that towards the All IU in Service Day coming up in April. I also want to thank everyone who has participated in the Variety Dress Down Days. Overwhelming response of participants, and you're going to see the fruits of your labor when it comes to the All in Service Day in April, of all the money that was raised that's going to help children with adaptive bikes as well as communication devices. And so thanks again for everyone who's participating. It's not too late to participate if you want to. Just go ahead and reach out, follow that email, and you can participate during the next Variety Day dress down. One major thing that I wanted to share with you is that we are now going to be entering in, after the first of the year, our comprehensive planning process, in which as an organization we're going to be looking at our mission, our vision, our shared values, and looking for areas in which to grow as an organization and create action plans centered on that. And it's very important that we have a lot of different people involved into that process. And so not only will the cabinet be involved, the administrative team, I've invited each of the union leadership teams to be part of the comprehensive planning process, as well as being in the future reaching out to community members and school districts. And so if you have any thoughts about where we need to go as an organization in the next 5 to 10 years, don't be afraid to share that with your union leadership, as well as share it with us as an administrative team, because our goal is to make this the best place possible to work in this county, as well as to be the go-to IU, an educational institution. And so we can't do those things without you being a huge part of that effort. So anything that you can help us along would be very, very much appreciated. And so I have 2 other final things, but I'll do that at the very, very end of the meeting. So let's now go into our division updates. And so, Dr. Thomas, would you like to start us off with student services?
Thank you. Well, thanks, Dr. Conway. We have some new announcements to make regarding new colleagues that will be joining us in the Student Services Division effective probably within the next 60 days on the whole. Mr. Jason Stragan, who is coming to us from sort of the private sector, is going to be coming to us as our student services supervisor. And Jason will be supervising our access coordination as well as our non-public services, and eventually we'll be transitioning into some supervision with our work discovery program and our TAC, or training and consultation team, that we have here at the IU. Ms. Sarah Wagner is joining us as an educational consultant for assistive technology. Sarah is currently employed as a occupational therapist for CAMCO and will be joining us here within the next few weeks. We're very excited to have her, as that possibility of having Sarah rounds out our assistive technology capacity. With her being an OT and our current AT person, Candace Height, working also in speech pathology, we feel like this is a real strategic addition to our team. Kira Matichak is going to be joining us as a school psychologist, working with an internal process here for non-public schools and all of our school-age special education, as well as helping Mr. Hamill with our Step Up Westmoreland initiative and the leadership of that effort. Kira's going to be joining us from the Reynolds School District, and so again will be joining us soon. Tyler Kropolak is joining us as a special education teacher at the Clairview School. He's currently teaching in the Pittsburgh Public Schools. Megan McQuaid, who's a teacher of the visually impaired, will be coming and working our itinerant services group with Amanda Winor and the rest of the Envision teachers. Megan is currently employed by IU4 in north of Pittsburgh. And finally, Callie Schaefer is coming to us as a speech-language pathologist that will be split. Her position will be split across school-aged and also early intervention SLP caseloads. And Callie is currently working in the Marion Center School District, but again will be joining us very soon. So we're welcome to all of those individuals, and we hope that everyone in our division is able to meet them face-to-face at some point in the future. We have been working on two initiatives I think that are worth noting. One is we are upgrading technology for all of our speech-language pathologists in both school-age and early intervention, our deaf hard of hearing teacher, and our teachers of the visually impaired. These individuals are receiving iPads to work with children, as well as to do some of our online building protocols and enhancing their productivity. We're also extending this new upgrade of technology to our TAC team and to our supervisory team, and hopefully we'll be expanding that into the residual iPads that we have in those services right now will be placed in EI classrooms over time. Speaking to TAC, TAC is our training and consultation team that works everywhere from MTSS and academic behavior support, as well as more targeted behavior support to low incidence, least restrictive environment, etc. We have a tremendous amount of professional capacity in that group, and we're very proud of them. One of the shining stars of our division right now in terms of leadership and providing capacity out to our school districts. And so what's very exciting to report with TAC is they're incredibly busy. They're getting consultations almost on a daily basis, definitely multiples per week, from our 17 school districts and the entities that we support around the county. The last thing I'd like to highlight too is that we are going to be looking at our work discovery program for the long term. Work discovery has been a tremendous process or opportunity for our school districts, and we've been very delighted at that program and how it's been operating. And we hope to, when Mr. Stragan approaches us and gets closer to the start date that he has, we'll be expanding work discovery with some of the opportunities that we have in that program as well. And that's my report, Dr. Conway.
All right, thank you, Dr. Thomas. Mrs. Liu with Financial Services.
Thank you. We had a limited procedures engagement performed by the State Auditor General's office over the summer, late summer and early fall. It covered the period of July 2013 through June of 2017. It focused on things like internal controls, budgeting, policies, procedures, right-to-know compliance, sunshine law compliance, and safe schools. And I'm happy to say that they had no findings, and we got a clean report. So hopefully we will not be actually audited until probably 3 to 4 years from now. I think it's the earliest that they said that we would hear from the state auditor's office again. We also filed our annual financial report at the end of November for 2017-18. We had approximately $40 million in revenues across the organization and $40.8 million in expenditures. So we had an $800,000 deficit, but that was anticipated. We had prepared for that in the springtime and talked to the board, had fund balances committed to address those things. And it really covered things that are helping to benefit us long term. We paid for a portion of the Act 39 capital project that was done between here and Clairview School by Schneider Electric. It focused on the HVAC units and the lighting in both of those places. So we paid about $300,000 of cash for that project and financed $1,350,000 of it. Also, we paid $150,000 of the principal and interest first-year payments on that capital project. So in total, $450,000 went out for that project. We had some shortfalls in Crossroads. Whenever that program had closed, we had a building that we rented off of Hempfield School District, and we couldn't get out of that lease arbitrarily, so we had to wait for a mutual lease termination. So we had several months of rent there to pay. And we did have a shortfall in Clairview as well, just because of the budgeted number of students that we anticipated in 2017-18 versus what we actually had. We also paid for initial construction costs for this Fred Rogers room. The project was started, obviously our fiscal year ended at the end of June, so we would have paid probably about close to $100,000 of the total cost of this room right here. With the $800,000 deficit, we still have a very healthy fund balance of about $4.6 million in total. Of that, 1.7 is committed toward paying future capital costs, which would be either the principal and interest payments that we have on the debt service that we had for the Schneider project, or paying off that loan, finishing this auditorium project, or some other needs that we might have. We are wrapping up the annual audit with Deluzio and Company. I'm happy to say that that's several months ahead of schedule from last year, which I'm very pleased about, and I want to thank my staff for that. We are preparing for routine year-end work that happens after the end of our calendar year, things like W-2s for employees and 1099s for vendors. So I know my staff is busy getting prepared for those things to happen. We have started preliminary details for creating the general operating budget for 2019-20, because that gets presented in about 5 to 6 weeks to both the superintendents and business managers and our board. So that needs to be done in very short order. And the last thing is we are doing an ALIO re-implementation project. We're given approval by the board to work with Weidenhammer, that is the software company that we use for our integrated HR and financial system. And they are, in essence, retraining and re-implementing the system for us so that we can get the most out of features and modules that weren't available when this system was put in back in 2013, or folks that are here weren't ever trained, like myself included. And we can really fully utilize the capabilities for both HR and finance. So that's an ongoing project for the balance of this year.
Excellent. All right.
And I want to thank my staff.
All right. Thank you very much, Mrs. Liu. All right, so I'm going to represent Eric Vaughn, who is traveling to Harrisburg. So for technology and infrastructure, a few items to share with you. Act 44, as you know, is the legislation that was passed that provided millions of dollars to school districts and intermediate units and CTCs for school safety. And part of that response, part of the requirements is to identify a safety coordinator, which in fact is Eric Vaughn. So Eric Vaughn is the intermediate unit's identified school security coordinator. And he also is leading a group of other coordinators from all of the different districts. And so the intermediate unit is leading that effort to bring those people together, to have conversations and work together throughout the county. Also part of this school safety initiative is the Safe to Say program that is led by the Attorney General. And we have a team of 5 people that are going to be trained, I think it's this Friday, up in Indiana, Pennsylvania, and all across the state. Districts and IUs and CTCs are getting trained on the Safe to Say initiative, which is going to be an anonymous tip line that is going to then connect to the LEAs throughout the state. So we have been very involved in its organization countywide and so forth. Other things he wanted to share with you, security cameras have been officially installed at Clairview. So we have a full blanket of outside security as well as inside security in the hallways. And so that's going to assist us if anything would happen and so on. Also, core network upgrade is being installed to support faster connections to our districts. And so we have an upgraded network that's going to make things faster for our districts that we serve. And also, we're very happy to announce that Dee has transitioned from a custodian to our official receptionist in our front lobby area of the administrative office. And to replace Dee, we have now started custodial interviews that began last week and are occurring this week. So that would end the report for technology and infrastructure. So Mr. Hamill, curriculum services.
Okay, thank you. Start off with a quick update of E-Academy. We are on course to, I think, crush our enrollment numbers from last year already. We're nearing 3,000 enrollments, and we're not even halfway through the year yet. We have also, at this point, already a record number of students enrolled in courses. We're well over 700 students at this point who have enrolled in E-Academy coursework for this year. So those are great numbers. It means we're continuing to evolve and grow in the program. So all of that in the midst of actually implementing a brand new front-end system that manages all of our communications and connections to teachers and students, grading system, and so on. So there's been a lot of new things that have had to be upgraded and put into place. But in the meantime, we created more of a state-of-the-art system for our schools and our teachers and our students to experience their online coursework in. So very pleased with how everything's going there, and you know, it's exciting to see the good numbers. On the workforce career readiness front, we have been, for a number of years now, we've been involved directly with the Westmoreland County Workforce Forum, and we have worked in the development of a new hub for career experiences for students. This has been in development for well over a year now, and excited to share that we will, as an IU, be taking over the operations of that, that hub on behalf of the Workforce Forum, and that to me speaks highly of their trust in us at this point to carry on that work. They had initially outsourced that to a third party to take care of, and it's now coming to us. So excited about that new work that's coming. Also on the workforce front, we have been collaborating with the Westmoreland Workforce Investment Board, Westmoreland Fayette, excuse me, Investment Board. And they are beginning a Teacher in the Workplace program that will begin in February. So we've been working on the planning committee of that group together with some of our CTC folks, a couple of the other school districts, but ideally what's going to happen here is about 30 teachers will be given the opportunity to go out into the business world, actually job shadow a little bit, see the real business environment, primarily focusing on the healthcare and industrial manufacturing components. So they're going to have the opportunity to go out and experience that, but also work to develop their classroom teaching and learning around those ideas of pathways to career. So it's an exciting new program for Westmoreland County that we're a part of. Last but not least, I wanted to share a very big event that will be happening here at the IU tomorrow. It is the kickoff for our Step Up Westmoreland program. I mentioned at our last quarterly meeting, I think we were in the earlier stages of planning this, and tomorrow is when all that plan applies to our students and safety in school. We have, coming tomorrow, a representation of so many facets of our community. We have agencies across the county who deal in mental health. We have our school districts, we have parents, we have students. All told, about 135 people have registered to be here tomorrow to hear the kickoff, to see what's going to happen with this program. We're tremendously excited about it because this is an urgent issue. It is definitely something that, as school districts, every day they face these issues of mental health and student safety. You know, we hear a lot about installing metal detectors and putting in more security in our schools and all of those things. But the reality is, if we don't deal with the mental health of our students, all of those things won't matter. There's a way to address this problem from this angle as well, and that's what we're focused on. So There were a tremendous number of people involved in this. This is the Westmoreland County Office of Behavioral Health Developmental Services, Westmoreland IU, and a number of the school districts here in Westmoreland County were involved in the planning process of this. We've been fortunate to be able to lead this project and get it off the ground, and super excited about where this is going to take us. Looking at other counties across the state and even nationally, I think we're doing something that's very unique here in our very own county, and I think we're going to have a pretty great story to tell as this proceeds. So look forward to letting you know next quarter how this is moving, and I'm sure we'll have some exciting news to share.
Absolutely. All right.
That's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hamill. And so I'll conclude today with a few other items to share with you. First, Christy's going to follow up with an email to everyone. All of the social media contact, we're back up. So I'm going to review that just in case. So as I said, we have many different social media outlets that you can follow us in terms of the intermediate unit, from Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so on. We really highly encourage you to do that. Also, for those who are watching, there's about 300 of you watching right now online. Don't hesitate to send us a quick email if you have any questions that you would like us to answer before. So you'll be able to watch these at your leisure if you choose to. Two other important dates to remind you of. Our next